We're up. Do you guys have any idea what this session is about? Who can tell me? Yeah, something with neuroscience. That's right. It's actually something with health, neuroscience, and leadership. And actually, the area that I specialize in is the ability to invigorate brains. And that's what I'm going to try and do with you guys today. Do you guys want to get invigorated today? All right. In order for you to be able to do that, just like my previous speaker, I'm going to need you to stand up for a second. And no, don't worry, you don't have to go meet each other, you don't have to film each other on your iPhones. That is all done. All I need you to do is just stand up for a second. Yeah, that means everybody. Come stand up. It's good. It's good for you. Did you know that your brain is directly connected to your feet and not your ass? That's right. So when you're on your feet, you actually take in information better. So that's why we're standing up. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take your right foot and just put your right foot right in front of you. I'm actually going to mirror you, so I'm going to do my left. So take your right foot and just put it right in front of you like this. Yeah? Nice. Now I want you to raise your right arm. Awesome. Now from here, I want you to reach back, and I want you to look back and say hi to the person behind you. Hey. All right. Now what I want you to do is you're going to reach, bring the hand back in front. Now you're going to bend over. You're going to reach forward as much as you can. Try to reach as far forward as possible. Don't tickle the person in front of you. All right. Good. And stand up. Let's do that one more time. Let's go back. Say hi. Hey. And we'll do that again. We're going to do a little stretch. Good. Let's switch feet and let's do that again. So we're going to switch feet. Yeah. Now we raise the left arm and we do the same thing. And reach back. Good. Now reach forward and get a nice little stretch out of that hamstring. All right, let's do that again. Reach back. Now usually I hear a lot more during these sessions from you. You guys are awfully quiet. Yeah. All right, give us a session. You're the quiet enjoyers. I get it. All right. That's okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. So everybody take a seat. Here's a question. How did that feel? Did you feel something? Anybody, what did you feel? Sorry? You felt relaxed. Somebody felt a stretch. Great, excellent, and great. I love the enthusiasm. Excellent. So, where did you feel a stretch? Somebody felt it in the shoulder. That's great. Where else? Somebody else also in the shoulder. Anybody like in the back of their leg or in their back? Do they feel something? Okay, so here's my next question. Did you really feel in your body? Or did you feel in your brain? Because the reality is, guys, our bodies can't feel. Our brains feel. Everything what happened just now is that there were a series of stretch receptors that you activated by making these movements. And that information from those stretch receptors went into your spine, traveled up your spine, into the emotional centers of your brain. And there it was processed, and it allowed you to feel something. And what's really fascinating about this is for some miraculous reason, your brain decided to make that so relevant that it would send that information to your prefrontal cortex, to your cerebral cortex, and make you consciously aware that it was happening. It made you pay attention to that one thing. And my question is, and this is my area of research, is how on earth did your brain decide that that one thing needed to be your center of attention? Because we can only pay attention to one thing at a time. What happened? How did that work? Well, you know, just a few years ago, I was just as confused as you guys. Because the truth is when we're looking at leadership and we're looking at performance, this is highly relevant. because we need to understand what it is that we're paying attention to. And then also understand that the world that we see and the world that we believe is only a fraction of everything that is really happening. So our consciousness, our ability to absorb information from our world is steered by our emotional brain. Now, if you take the word emotion, emotion consists 85% of the word motion. And what that means is that emotion drives behavior. So we have to have an emotional connection with what we do. Just like my previous speaker said, when we're telling a story, there needs to be an emotional connection. The funny thing is when we move, and hence such a great job as he did in doing that workshop, when we move, we are more emotionally engaged. And when we sit on our asses all day, we are not so emotionally engaged. And actually, what you will find out later is we're not engaged at all. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm gonna ask. Do I have this? Oh, I have the clicker now. Great. So let's give this one a try. Has anybody ever seen this? Supposedly it's from Einstein, but I'm not quite sure. But the saying is, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Have you guys heard that one before? Why is that relevant? Well, because I'm a fish. I grew up as a fish. And the reason is because my childhood was very different from your childhood. You see, my mom, by day, she was a house mom. But by night, she had a very special job. And her job was, she was a terrorist. I mean, a full-fledged terrorist. My mom was South African, and this was during the times of the white supremacist government, the apartheid in South Africa. And my mom was one of 3 white South African women who was jailed for her political activities against the government. And she was exiled from South Africa because it was quite embarrassing to throw white people in jail. So she was kicked out of the country, ended up in Holland, and that's where she met my dad. And they did the magic thing, and I got married. I got born, and I was there, and I think they got married before I was born. But anyway, everything kind of worked out, and while my mom was in political exile, she was still extremely active. She was a thorn in the side of the South African government to such an extreme that she lives there now, but she's still somewhat of a political activist even though the country is free. Don't ever get in an argument with my mom, by the way, right? She's still alive. She lives in Cape Town. But when I was growing up, life for me was very different. And the reason is because when my fellow children who were in school and they were going through the school process, their biggest worry for Christmas was, are they going to get a red bicycle, right? My biggest worry is there going to be world peace? I saw the world very differently from every other kid. And what that did for me was, it was actually really confusing. I grew up very confused. Actually, believe it or not, I'm 50 years old now, I'm still confused, so it's not so bad. But the idea here is that I grew up in a very different way of thinking than everybody else. And that stayed with me until today. And it took me many, many years where I actually believed that I just wasn't smart because I didn't understand a lot of things. A lot of the values that other kids had in their lives, I just didn't share. I saw much bigger things. And so when we actually reached that point where I came into myself, which was really only just a few years ago, I discovered that I was actually a damn good fish. And I swim really well. And I don't do too well when I try to climb trees. Now, the reason why this story is relevant for you is because when we look in the corporate world, and if we look at the neuroscience behind it, our brains tend to seek like-minded brains. We tend to be attracted to the people who are similar to us. And when we group together, we become like tree climbers. We're a group of tree climbers. And then if you accidentally have a fish who lands in the middle of those tree climbers, that fish feels weird. They feel like they're stupid. And what you find is a lot of organizations nowadays, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 people, they're all tree climbers. And all they know what to do is to climb trees. But as of last December, the corporate world is undergoing some form of quiet revolution, which is called disruption. Every industry is slowly but surely being overtaken by its own Uber. They're all being Uberfied. Do we know the symptom? Right? Some form of innovation is taking over the industry and making us look very differently at the way we need to do business. And the funny thing is now we have these organizations of tree climbers, and all they know what to do is to climb trees. And they're stuck because they go, hey, all of the processes, all of the ways of working that we've actually done, how can I become an Uber? And how can I prevent or secure myself in such a way that if there is an Uber in my industry, I'm protected? So what I ended up doing is, as a company, I train companies how to be like fish, and how to be like birds, and how to think differently, and how to look differently, how to approach different angles so that they can kind of access more creativity and find more lateral ways of thinking so that they can have their own little Uber moments. And so that's why this is so important, because the stuff that you're going to be hearing today comes from a fish. And if you're a tree climber, it might sound a little weird here and there. It's okay. It comes from a fish. So I'm supposed to be a little weird, all right? That's all right. So here's a question for you. How many people in this room are leaders? Everybody stick up your hand. Who's a leader? Awesome. All right, at the end of this 45-minute talk, I'm going to ask you this question again. I expect every single one of you to raise your hand. Why? Because leadership is not about systems and about job functions and all of that kind of stuff. Leadership is about our ability to elevate those people around us and make them dream more, think more, do more, and learn more. And if we look at the definition of leadership from that perspective, each and every one of us is a leader. Even our janitors and our receptionists, every single person, if we all took the role of being a leader that seriously, would there be such an issue as disengagement? No, right? Because we are all elevating and inspiring those people around us. So when we look at leadership, what are some of the qualities that we have? Leader, if I were to ask you, what are some of the greatest qualities from the great leaders of the world? What are some qualities that you see? Who could throw out some? All right, I'm going to do this different. There's a prize. I'm going to give you guys a prize. I'm going to give you a prize. Anybody that can call out anything is going to get a prize. I'm going to bring a bag of prizes up for you. Because, yes, and for you, for that person who just left 2 minutes ago, you do not get a prize. Okay, so here it comes. Who can throw out a quality of a leader? Trust. Awesome. Here you go. All right. Anybody else? Sorry? 1S. Oh, excellent. Exactly. You get it? Good. Woo! Hey, good throwing skills. It's good to work with athletes. Passion. Love it. There we go. Whoops, sorry. That was not my throwing. That was good leadership, right? It was yours catching, not my leadership. Yeah? Sorry? Charisma. Love it. Here you go. Woo! Okay, one more. Sorry? Good heart. I love that. Got to show it. Okay, one more then. Okay. Takes a risk. Who said that? There we go. Awesome. Good. You get it? Oh. Very good. So, hey, this has taught me something. Bonuses and incentives do work for this group. Don't believe the research. It actually does work. So here's the thing. All of those qualities that you heard, what did they all have in common? What do they all have in common? Oh, that becomes a little harder, isn't it? Actually, if you look at all of those qualities aren't necessarily just about who you are or what you do, but leadership, guys, is about what people see you do.